So with that, it's now 7 o'clock. If we could all rise for a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. If the secretary perform roll call attendance, please.
Here.
Mr. Saru?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Verachiko? Mr. Muscovy?
Here.
Mr. Fowler?
Here. Okay. All the board members should have received the minutes from the October 2nd meeting. If there's no discussion regarding the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay. All right. First item on the agenda this evening is adjourned public hearing for site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless Communication Facility on Didell Road. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
So, good evening. My name is Scott Olson. I am an attorney for Verizon Wireless. I will pick up where we left off. I think it was September 6th or 7th or so.
Scott, just make sure you talk into the microphone. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You just tilt it up towards you. Thank you.
There we go.
All right. So I forget exactly if you had Bill Johnson's report at that point, or if it came in, it was right around that time. We were provided with it shortly after the meeting, took a look at it, had our RF engineer review it also. In fact, I think I asked if they could speak, offline together, and the board said
Yes.
that's fine.
Yep.
So they did that because two issues basically came up in Mr. Johnson's report. One was related to the, he wanted to see plots of lower tower heights, as well as a higher tower height, actually, to see what the minimum height justification really is. So we did that, and we did that, or our engineer did that. He did, anyway, I'm trying to get to it, but I will just talk about it. So we went 20 feet higher, and so that would put us at a 140-foot tower. That was Mr. Johnson who wanted to see what that looked like, because you do above and below to make sure you get the exact height that you need. And our engineer looked at it and said, yeah, that's perfect. That's great for us, and it would work very well for what we're trying to do. However, if you look at the 120, 20 feet lower, it's good enough for us. It covers the target areas that we have to cover, and we thought it was a good compromise to not go higher, to stay at 120. Most towns like us to stay as low as possible. So that's in there. We also looked at a 100-foot tower and an 80-foot tower. And those plots are in the documents, if I can find them. But anyway, they basically show that the 80-foot tower is much too low to accomplish. That's not it. I'm sorry, I can't find it right now. The 80-foot tower, 100-foot tower don't work. And I think Mr. Johnson since reviewed the RF supplement by Verizon and confirmed and said, yes, the 120 is probably where you need to be, the minimum height. That was the first issue. The second issue he talked about were other locations, candidate C and E in our site selection analysis. Candidate C is pretty close to the existing site. We've contacted the owner, and she's not willing to lease us the property. But we also had Verizon RF also do an analysis and to determine if it would work at that location. And it's about a third of a mile away. I know it seems a lot closer. Because of that, it was getting a little too close, according to our engineer, to the New Hackensack site. And that was in his analysis. So he said that would not be optimal. You would get some interference. He also looked at the candidate E site, which is about a half a mile away across the road. And that is just getting too far away from the target area. We actually want to be kind of on the other side of the road to hit that area. So we're about a half a mile away on that site, which from an RF perspective really wouldn't, again, be optimal or work properly in our network. So those are those two issues, RF-wise. I do have an RF engineer with us tonight, so he can answer any questions. That's just what I gave you as the brief summary. We also took a look at the visual analysis for both candidates C and E. And I don't know if this is going to, well, yeah. So this is the original view shed analysis for the current candidate. And the white areas are the areas basically where the tower will be visible. We confirmed that through the photo simulation balloon test analysis that we did. Overall, between topography and vegetation, it's extremely limited in terms of visibility. So that's, the star in the center is where the tower site is proposed to be located. If you keep that visual in your mind, we then looked at, all right. We then looked at C and E, there we go. And here is C, even though the owner won't let us lease the property, this is C. And
Are you sure that's C? Or
I think that's E.
I think that's E.
Yeah.
So it's on the other side of Didel.
sorry, it's on the other side of Didel. You're right, thanks for correcting me. So that is E. You can see that the white areas, not crazy extensive, but it's a little more visible than the original location. But I think what's kind of important to me, at least, is you can see generally the houses. There'll be much more visibility from a greater number of houses. And I forget the name of that road. We're coming off of Didel. You can definitely see. I'm just batting 1,000, aren't I? Hey, it won't work on the screen. All right. Anyway, you can see that there are many more houses that will be, from which this will be visible from. And that's E. And the other one is C, even though the owner will not lease to us. You still have, all right. Well, we submitted it in hard copy. What's not coming up on the screen for some reason, there's actually, again, more white area, more visibility generally at C because it's pretty much in an open field. Whereas where we have it now is kind of tucked into where some wooded areas are. So the existing vegetation provides better screening than this location would, which you can't see because it's not working. But anyway, there you go. So that's C, which is kind of next to our proposed candidate, about a third of a mile away. Increases the visibility along Didel Road a little bit, as you can see. We just wanted to give that to the planning board as perspective. This should say they're all kind of similar. It's not like we all of a sudden one increases visibility significantly, but these two other candidates are a little worse than the candidate that we propose right now. We think that it provides that shows you that.
Is Site E willing to lease?
We don't know. I think we're still in the process of making contact.
Okay.
I think there was potentially a willingness to look into it a while ago, but we haven't gotten confirmation that that's the case today. But again, you have the photos in front of you. With that candidate E, you're going to have more houses that are going to see it. That's just basically the lay of the land. You can see where the houses are, the little dots along next to the roads. So it's going to be a little more visible from the immediate area.
Closer to the road as well. I was just curious. I spoke to our RF specialist, Bill Johnson, earlier today. He didn't mention receiving or reviewing the alternate location analysis. It's possible that we had miscommunication, though. Are you sure that he has received that subsequent report?
I will confirm, because I thought I printed out an email saying, hey, I've looked at this information and I'm good with it.
Okay.
Although it's possible he had the conversation with the engineer, so I'll confirm.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with him tomorrow
Yeah.
as well. Do we know that the town has received the alternate location report? Because I had not seen that.
We haven't received anything,
Yeah.
frankly.
Okay. I'll make sure that that gets into your hands.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that we have everything for the record. And I will make sure to follow up with Bill Johnson tomorrow on the alternate location and the RF analysis that was provided.
Okay.
Okay.
What drives the decision for a tower in this location?
Primarily the existing network of towers that surround this. So we have a tower it's right next to the airport. We call it the New Hackensack Tower site. There's the Emmer site. We have a bunch of sites around there, and they look at the performance, and they look at, say, hey, we have a problem. So some of the surrounding sites, because this area that we're proposing has poor service, it is trying to get the service from the other sites, so it's kind of drawing the energy, literally, from those sites. And those sites don't have the capacity to handle all that extra customer, so you have to put a new site in. That's one of the reasons, and we're
There's
doing that.
no way to upgrade the existing
No,
sites?
we always do that first. The problem is that, so we're primarily using, we're using 3 or 4 frequencies, but primarily for our purposes here, 2. What we call the 850, or the 700, 850, and then the 2100 megahertz. 21 is considered mid-band. We don't have 21 in here. That's 93% of our broadband spectrum right now. We need that spectrum here because it can absorb a lot of the capacity, is what I'm trying to get at. You might have some service in the 700 or 850 frequency, but that represents only 7% of our bandwidth, basically. So it just is not enough to cover the number of people trying to use these sites.
I think when we started the thing, the residents did say there was no service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious how this whole thing comes about.
The other factor is topography, obviously. When you're in a topography compromised area, in a sense that you have some hills, ridges around the area, these signals don't travel over it. They hit it and kind of more or less die. They don't really go through matter very easily. That's why leaves in the summer and springtime will actually degrade service pretty significantly.
Okay. So I guess at this point where we, I guess, do we want to wait for the RF engineer to?
Well, I think we'll want to wait for verification from Bill that neither of these alternative sites are viable, as has been represented by the applicant. But I think that we can still hear from the public.
Yeah,
And
we're still.
unless anything is going to change, I think that we could consider closing the public hearing afterwards. But that's up to the board.
All right. So, I mean, that's, okay. All right. So at this point in time, we'll open up the floor to public comment regarding the Didell Road cell site at this point. So if there's anyone that wants to speak, has any comments, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
Tim and Jess Tulin, 87 Didell Road, property right on the north side of, the west side of the site. Just want to see, I sent an email to the zoning department, and they were supposed to send the email forwarded to you. I was wondering if you got that email. It should show some pictures and stuff too.
Is that the one
It's
with
not
just-
recap.
Is that this one?
pictures of
that we
the
had tonight?
dumping stuff and whatnot? Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
No problems with the property next door, like.
Speak in a microphone.
I'm sorry.
And
All
also,
the problems with the property next door, the fact that they've been illegally dumping on this property, and
right.
we keep
And
trying
this
to
is-
bring this to our town's attention. They keep saying they're going to take care of it and send it to the DC and do all of this stuff, and then we found out on Friday, they're like, oh no, we're not allowed to even touch anything with this, and sorry, I lost us.
and this is the site next to the proposed
This
site.
site has been, it's been a legal mining site for like 25 years, ever since we've been there. They've taken out hundreds of yards of shale. It's been a pit and everything. Lately, they've been, well, probably for the last 10, 15 years, they've been trying to fill it in, but they're filling it in with, pictures
Oil
that
tanks,
will show
car parts.
gas tanks, oil containers, tractor parts, and construction debris. The area is probably about 150 by 150 and probably 30 to 40 feet deep in one area. The town zoning department knows about it, and the DEC has been notified about it. Pictures of the illegal material have been submitted to the zoning department, and since our notification to the town, Verizon, the property owners have been trucking in dirt to cover up the evidence. We mentioned last meeting to Verizon about the illegal dumping. Ever since then, they've been trying to cover this stuff up.
The next day.
But it's a huge area. It has, oil waste, all kinds of stuff. So I feel that this property, you guys should not be, voting on a permit until the DEC goes out there and says, what they're gonna do. Because it's just,
Town should be doing this before they allow more building on this property, because, we've been trying to tell people, everybody's ignoring us.
Yeah.
So,
even right in front of where the tower is going, there was, that was another place they excavated. They've been excavating the whole back of that property where the tower's going, like I said, for 25 years. And putting in whatever they can find to refill it in.
stuff in the city,
But if you
whatever.
go back there, you can see that they've been excavating the site. You can still see, the junk, that they didn't cover up, because, like I said, it's 40 feet deep. It's clipped off and you can see everything, it's huge. But I'm sure that they're
They
gonna
know.
probably tell them to fill it in even more.
Because they-
So,
After we talked to them last time, that's exactly what.
Okay.
so I don't feel like that site should be used until the,
Should
at
be
least the
cleaned up,
DC
right? Should be
looks at
cleaned up.
it.
You're not allowed to spray oil all over your property. Yeah, so.
Also, all the surrounding properties were supposed to be notified of this balloon test, right, I believe?
They were, what was that?
All the surrounding properties were supposed to be notified of the balloon test?
They were,
No, the code only requires publication in the newspaper.
right, so that,
That's another
yeah,
thing
so it was
that's
just
done
right, so it was published in the newspaper. That's the only requirement that the town code has for that date.
They only have to put it in the newspaper that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And also that the property owners were supposed to be notified of the cell tower. And I went around to all the people on Daniel Savior Drive that's next to this cell site. Not one of them's got that letter.
They don't know about
So I don't know if they even got them. I'd like to see proof that everybody got the letter that they were supposed to get. And also Verizon's supposed to put up a sign, a planning board sign. Well, they did put up the planning board sign. For less than 24 hours, a Verizon truck came by and took that sign down on the same day that they put it up. I went, I found it in the weeds, I put it back up, and it was back down immediately. They just come by and they take the sign down. So just things like that shouldn't happen.
It just doesn't feel like our town's trying to look out for all of us who are there. We live in this rural neighborhood. We specifically bought there. We have a working horse farm that a lot of people come to. That is our business, and it's because it is a rural area where there's little weather over there. And now we're gonna have this giant stuff like literally off my property.
No.
It's,
Like when I was looking at
It's not
the-
the status of the town, and I don't understand why they won't just put it on one of these other sites.
Yeah.
That
Especially it
there
seemed like
is
that
stuff over
Site
there.
C is a better site to put that tower on. It gave you
Keep
more,
saying there's all kinds of
you know.
houses, but there's
Right.
not. Look at all the
Radius.
docks on there.
Okay, one at a time, and let's kind of limit it here a little bit. I mean, I understand the
There's
issue with the
a lot of
different,
stuff that just,
I understand the difference with with the sites. I mean, we're trying to get through that process now.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the information to have our RF analysis validate their data. So that's kind of what aids us in our making a decision.
And then they're talking to that other site, they're like, oh, we haven't been able to reach them, so we're not gonna bother talking to them. And at the last meeting, you said you were gonna, that's what you all were supposed to sit down and talk about. You didn't want it on this site either, now all of a sudden, all that site is gone. And you said one of the other sites would
It
be
just
better.
seems like it doesn't matter what site you put on, this thing's gonna be 60 feet above the tallest
Now
tree
it's
that's
taller.
back there. You know, more than 60 feet. The tallest tree is probably 60 feet, it might not even be that much. So no matter what site you put it on, you're gonna see this tower.
Right. So I mean, no matter, right, so I mean, all the sites in the location is still gonna be, you're still gonna see it regardless. And it's a matter of which site is gonna be the best, with the minimal amount of impact. That's, I think, what it's coming to.
It's a lot of impact on my business and everything that we built here in town. We've been sitting here building this for 25 years in this town, and this is the site to bigger, rather than one that there's nothing near, or anything along those lines. There is other viable options, they won't even talk to you.
And then the FAA is gonna make them put a light on it,
Right.
more than likely. That's gonna shine right in
That's gonna
our
look great.
bedroom window. Yeah.
So our property value is gonna go through the floor, and here we are paying taxes to all you people, you're supposed to be helping protect our property. We're telling you about the stuff that's going wrong over there on the property. We've gone to the town since July, telling
And
them about this stuff on the property, and they keep
That's
telling
not
us they
just
do.
us. I mean, other people complain about this dumping and the excavating, but the town's not allowed to go on the property for some reason,
Yeah. No, I understand.
Whatever illegal stuff they wanna do.
Yeah, and we did have discussions regarding the dumping prior to the application even being brought to the board. There was discussion there. And again, we're talking about multiple pieces of property. And from what we're being told is that if the violation isn't physically on the property where the tower is being proposed, then
It
there's
is.
not much that we can do.
But it is.
It's physically on the property. It's probably within
It is.
300 feet of where the cell tower should be.
Right there.
Physically on the property.
We can go out with a shovel and show you.
And actually, they filled in so much that it's probably within 100 feet of the cell tower that they started doing all this stuff. But, they worked their way east on the property and then just dug out unbelievable amount.
We're still in the process of figuring with validating the location. And I mean, if the location it's get validated where the tower is gonna, eventually go, they're gonna have to address the dumping, if it's on that site. Okay, so unfortunately, we have to leave that up to the town staff to determine.
When we went to
And
the
they'll,
town staff, they go, we're not allowed to set foot on the property, even though we're
Yeah,
showing them.
unless the
it's true.
DEC goes first or something.
No, it's
Right.
not. It's basically, I can just
Right.
pour oil on my
well,
property.
the DEC has a little more flexibility than the town does.
Yeah.
And they have, they are governed by some different laws that allows them to do it differently than the town staff would be.
But there's an open permit on the property. Why can't that town go and check out the property?
It's a conversation that needs to take place outside of here. I know a lot
We've
more
been
than what
trying.
I know a lot more than what you
I think
think
we just get the runaround.
about all the violations and accessing property, and there's some constitutional rights that the property owner has, which limits the town from doing things. Listen, I understand that, but there is a process the town can take to gain access to the property, and that's something that the
Well, I
town
think
will have to
they
do.
do.
But
Do that before
we're not here to talk about that tonight. So, I mean, regardless of the dumping, is there any, and, obviously you brought up about the visibility, being the site and everything else, is there any other concerns that you have with this that need to get, that we can, that we can get addressed?
Yeah. Just the fact that it's, right behind our house and
I-
it's going to be in there.
And I understand it. This is not the
I mean, if
first.
they could move it or
Which we have.
shorten the tower by 40
Yeah.
feet, that'd be great.
Yeah, we've had, this is not the first cell tower application that the board's reviewed, and again, I understand where you're coming from,
It's such a nice rural place, and now
You're
there's going
supposed
to be
to be protecting the aesthetic of the town.
yeah,
You're told
and
to
we're
stop
trying to do the best we can for the majority of the residents.
Yeah.
That's all I can say at this
I think we
point.
put in that, on that Site C, there wouldn't be anybody complaining except for the people that own the property. That's the only thing. I
Okay.
think that's the only reason why it's not on Site C, is because they don't
Okay.
have that.
All right, so we've taken your comments, we have them, like I said, they've been, they'll be put on the record, and we will have the applicant address, the issues that were brought up tonight, which is, again, this is an ongoing process. All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak regarding the Didel site?
Yes, my name is Jose Seco, and I'm actually the owner of the property next to it on the other side. So I am the owner of the property between,
What's your address?
it's 117 Didel Road. And tax map is 7-12 Cartwheel Lane.
All right.
Okay, it's actually the Corbin's original house, farmhouse there from the 1700s. I noticed in the last time that I was here, they showed pictures of the other site, and they show a low range. I did go out today and actually took pictures showing that, as their report states, that's the elevation is basically the same or close to it where they're proposing it. The only thing is, it's further away, and it is away from houses. Okay? The owner doesn't want it there. Well, that's between Verizon and the owner to compromise. Code of 240-81, town code, which is affecting quality of life. We're going to go ahead and place a tower of 120 feet, and actually they can go up another 10%, which is basically another story. That will definitely affect it, and they will have to place a light for the aviation because of the airport. This airport here is not a national airport, so therefore the small planes. The airport also has training from the Dutchess County. So there's a lot more flights and a lot more air traffic. And to be sitting, sleeping at night and have a light shining in as if it was a camera, I wouldn't call that better quality of life. Okay? Besides the site, what was dumped on that site, which I do have the pictures here. I can put up.
Yeah, show them, all right, I'll let you
Okay.
show them quickly, yeah.
In which, another main concern is the area there is all wells. There is no town water for that area there. So groundwater contamination is another issue.
But that's, yeah, and again, that's,
Correct.
right, that's something that we have that really doesn't come into play right now. That's,
Okay. They probably would if it becomes an investigation. Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Right, now, I understand what
Correct.
you're saying. Again,
This is
it's,
another
yeah.
one.
Yep.
Okay. Looking at the report, and listening to the gentleman that just finished speaking, okay, he's saying, okay, the vegetation that's there, okay. Okay, this is a picture of a site, the alternate site, which has the high hill compared to the last time that they brought in the picture, which only showed the farmhouse. Of course, today, that story changed, saying, oh, they're the same, it's just further down and the owner won't allow us to build there. Okay? To cover it, be more exposed, well, vegetation, you can plant trees. You can cover around that cell tower, okay? And the gentleman's conversation earlier states, oh, you know, in the summer with the trees, and that's going to be interference. But why would you want to put a cell tower back where you know it's going to be interference and contradictory to what you're trying to achieve? Doesn't make any sense to me. When they have two other sites which are better. These are pictures of what's in the ground there.
Okay. And those are basically the same pictures that we had received, that you'd already given the town?
Yes, the neighbor has forwarded those to the town.
Right, okay. Which I think we have as part of we already have up here as part of the record. So I mean, I don't think there's reason to go through all the pictures at this point.
Yeah, we have those.
Yeah.
Here, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So, and there's one there which actually shows exposed water, groundwater, on one of the pictures.
Right. And listen, I understand the
Yeah,
concern with the dumping and everything
Okay.
else, and the town's got to deal, that's the town's got to deal with that, but that's not part of the application at this
Okay.
point.
But within part of the application, they do have the other sites, okay? Which one particular site, which happens to be even higher elevation than these two other sites.
Right.
This current site and the others, and this other site on the same owner's property.
Right. Yeah, there's a difference in about 15 feet between the two.
Correct. And that was far back on the other side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you want a site that's already higher in elevation?
Yep.
And
And again, that's something that we're going to have to, we have to confirm the information, with our RF analysis. We have an independent RF analysis who we retain to make sure that the information and the data that they're giving us is correct. So,
Okay.
I mean, we're still working on getting those two sites, addressed.
Okay. I noticed also in one of the communications between Verizon and the town, it's in the website there, that they say that one of the other sites in that would have a great impact on the surrounding area, on the housings and everything else, and they mentioned Daniels there, the road, which is on the other side of my property. All those houses back there, actually, their back borders my property. The tower's farther away. How can it be even more affecting the visuality of those properties? Doesn't
Okay.
make any sense to me.
All right. All right, well, we've got your comments. They're noted on the record, and we will have we'll try to get everything addressed. And again, with the location, that will be forthcoming, I guess, with
Okay.
the rest of the analysis.
And the major is, in accordance to the objective, according to the town code, okay, being the quality of life, and also affecting the value of property, et cetera, in placing something like this in that specific area.
Okay, all right, we've got your comments on the record, as I said, we'll have addressed.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak regarding the Didell Road site? Okay. Seeing none, board have any questions or concerns regarding this? Do we want to have our staff address at this point?
No, there's not an open violation on that property right now, right?
And I don't think there's an open permit, it's vacant land, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if they, I mean, it's in an ag district, so I don't know. I never really researched the ability of gravel mining or on a ag property. I know that there have been, DEC has investigated the site in the past.
Right, and the staff had notified more than one department at the DEC, which has the teeth to do something on ag and market property.
You know, that under the New York State mining reclamation law, DEC issues mining permits. The town does not issue mining permits. And DEC, if there's a mining permit issued, then part of the mining permit has a reclamation plan that's associated with it. So I'm not aware of a mining permit that's been issued. There's a question as to whether or not a mining permit is required for an ag property. There may be, some limitations with respect to that. And I know DEC, Solid Waste and DEC Mining were contacted in the past. And I don't know.
And recently.
What's that? And recently, yes.
Last week, they were notified for the second time in a few weeks.
We have to go back and look at the records to see what DEC response was, but I know DEC was contacted. And they have the primary jurisdiction over mining issues.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Shell.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So at this point, if
I
we
would keep
close.
I would keep the public hearing open just to confirm with respect to the report of,
We return- okay.
the RF consultant. And I think we should have something, back from the RF consultant, and then, we can address it at that meeting.
Okay. Okay, so I guess at this point, it's like we're probably going to adjourn this. I don't know how long we're looking at to, to get our, William Johnson has to, basically touch base with somebody on this.
Correct.
Is this something that we should push off for, to the next meeting, or should we go off for 2 meetings from now? Is it?
I'm not sure how long it will take him to review it. There's a possibility that he's already seen it, and it will be a very brief conversation, and we can be
Okay.
back here at the next meeting but we
Yeah.
need to set a specific date as we're adjourning the public hearing.
Okay.
And he's definitely familiar with all this.
Okay.
Obviously.
Obviously, again, we left it open-ended so that that our consultant could speak with Verizon's technical representative, so we can kind of, keep the process moving a little quicker. Obviously, it's still going to stand going forward, so, do we think we're going to be so I guess the next meeting is what, November 6th, correct? Yeah, so it gives 3 weeks. I don't think there's really a submission on our part that we need to,
No, I think that should
that
be
any of the staff has to review. It's basically just whatever,
Yeah. Hammering
Mr.
down
Johnson,
which of
whatever
the
Mr.
sites.
Johnson's review basically comes back as a recommendation to us. So I guess with that, we could do November 6th if that's good for you.
I think it works.
Let me just confirm that right now, the agenda is pretty light still for the 6th? Okay, all right.
Okay. I'll make sure that the engineer from Verizon touches base with Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, and make sure that the alternative site analysis is submitted to the town as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So if November 6th, good, somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing to November the 6th?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, motion carries. All right, so. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just have to leave. I got to pick up my son.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware. I think the board wanted to go into executive session this evening. Yeah.
Could we schedule a Zoom call?
All right, well, we'll make a, yeah, I guess we'll make a, I guess board will have a discussion.
Okay.
We'll have a discussion, we'll get back to you. I think I think the board's still gonna speak amongst ourselves. But we'll be in touch.
If you want, you can contact me myself.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
conference you in.
Okay.
Sure.
Do that.
Okay. All right, so with that said, we're going to move to our next item on the agenda, which is the site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless for Spook Hill Park Small Wireless Facility. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion been seconded, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
So, good evening again, Scott Olson, for Verizon Wireless. So the last time we were here, I forgot their last name, but the neighbors basically, they didn't like the new location that we had proposed, which is kind of shown on here, which is about 160 feet north of the bend in the road. They said that presented some issues, so the board asked us to speak with them after the meeting, which we did, and they expressed an interest in moving this to see where the bend in the road is. You go a little bit back kind of towards the southeast, so before the bend in the road.
Okay.
And we don't, and there are other poles there. I mean, there's a house. You can kind of see the corner of the house. We're talking, look on the picture on the right side of the edge, and you go up, there's that house there. I think it would be kind of off at an angle, that general area. We don't have new plans prepared for it.
Okay.
Because we really wanted to talk to the board about what you would like us to do after we spoke to the property owners. We certainly can move it if it's really an issue. We don't want to have to move it again because it costs more money to re-engineer it. So we're really here to hear what the board has to say in terms of this potential third location.
So from an RF perspective, it will work to move it southeast a few hundred feet?
It would, and because if you look, it's actually closer to the bend than the second.
Closer to the original location?
It's actually closer to that original location than the other one was.
Okay.
Although I think we're trying to kind of cover north of the bend and everything, so that if we went further southeast, it could be problematic, but that's not a problem at that location.
I can't really see the thing, but is
Yeah.
that, like, does this put it in
Trying
somebody
to-
else's front yard now?
Well,
Or still in basically?
yes.
Okay.
And that's always our concern, and I think they said that they wouldn't be concerned, or they didn't care that much about it. I'm not sure what words he used. You know, okay. But I'm always concerned, the
If you
grass
just
is
want to
not
mark it,
always green.
this is the original plan. If you just so everybody, just so all the board members are kind of aware. If you could,
Okay, so.
because this was the original proposed
Yes,
site.
I think generally we're talking
Oh, okay.
kind of that area, give or take.
Okay.
So you have, I don't know, those people there, you have those people there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
South, right, so the original, where we moved it the first time, and then around the bend, and kind of where it's actually.
Okay. So right now, we're talking about alternate, you have as alternate two?
yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So-
And alternate one is where we moved it.
Where you moved it the first
Yeah.
time. So alternate two is,
I'm sorry, I thought this was further away from our original location.
Okay.
Maybe it's not.
I mean, it's,
Or maybe it's further away.
you know, it's not, yeah, it's.
that's very helpful right there.
Close, you guys,
We could keep this.
So it works for them, and it works for you guys?
I don't know if you saw the actual location, it's exactly what,
Let them bring this, but we'll let them bring it back to you. Go ahead, show them the,
it's pretty much what we got circled.
no? Maybe. All right. So where he drew, that's the alternate location.
Still gonna be kind of, it's still gonna be the right way.
Well, okay. All right, thank you. I got to work that out. Got to make sure that goes to, before we leave tonight, that stays with B.
So that's essentially where we are, you know.
Give or take, right, it's in that rough area.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Again, we prefer not to move it for a second time, but it sounds like that's where things are going. And if that's what the board and everybody wants, then we will. But when we come here the next time,
No,
I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, we can't move it.
okay. All right, so obviously these locations that are on there are going to work, and we're not
Yeah.
getting, okay.
Any of those 3 locations work, and the reason why we can't be on the other side of the street basically is because you have the power lines over there, and we can't put these antennas on an existing utility pole with a primary line. So you
Due
just
to
can't-
due to the interference from the electrical current.
Yeah, we just, and the utility company won't let us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, you give it back to me. All right, so with that said, we still have public hearing. I don't know if either of you, if you want to come up and speak, or hopefully, you know, if you're good with this, I mean, I think we're,
Yeah, good evening, Jason Engstrom and Delia Engstrom with 21 Spook Hill Road. Yeah, the only things we wanted to say is we're leaning towards that southeast location
okay.
for a couple reasons. I think you're aware there's a fire hydrant over on the north side of that bend. So this gets that pole away from that fire hydrant. We think it improves line of sight for traffic. Again, there was another head-on collision this weekend. You know, it's a dangerous corner, so we would like to have that pole away from that corner if possible. So I think the southeast is probably, again, a better spot. And another point, the utility right-of-way that cuts through there, there's a pole, a utility pole already there with power that they can connect to. Not put their system on that pole, but they can put their pole near there and keep the lines on the same side of the road, so we don't have another set of lines crossing the road.
Going to limit the amount of wire they have to string in
so
order
we're
to.
not going back and forth again with wires, so
Okay.
it's a cleaner look, safer, keeps it away from the fire hydrant. There's already those utility right-of-way going through there, so there's existing lines. So we just think it's a better solution to be over on the southeast side.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
all I have. Delia?
All right.
I think that pretty much.
Okay, so we're hopefully, all right, so if everybody's good with that, as it's marked on what they gave us tonight as Spook Hill Park alternate 2, and we will have them, you know, proceed with that location, and
If I
we'll
could
move forward.
request like a mock-up, since it's going to be on the outside of our stone wall, there is still just a few feet between Spook Hill Road and our stone wall.
Okay,
I still would like to see a mock-up, because we do have neighbors that still have to pull out of, like only 1 or 2 that have to pull out of driveways there,
Okay.
but I would like to just
Yeah.
see a
Okay.
mock-up of it.
all right, we'll ask the applicant to give us a visual mock-up of that. All right, okay.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Sharon Adler. I live at 1 Mina Drive, which is right across the street from them. I don't know if this is in your jurisdiction. We clearly need a cell tower. I have been there for 3 months. Before that, I lived in Wappingers. I've been a resident 20 years here, so, you know, this is an informal study, my own personal study of what goes on traffic-wise. Jason mentioned there was an accident on Saturday. We moved in the end of May. There have been 3 traffic incidents, 1 on my front lawn, 1 on Saturday, it was a head-on collision, and then another one which I don't know the facts of. But anyway, being that there's a park there, it seems that there could be like some kind of a speed bump or like that grate, you know, that slows cars down. I'm watching people come around the bend. which is a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they come around and go, I'm not kidding, 50, 60 miles an hour. And there's a park there. So, you know, I know there was talk in June of a traffic study. I'm wondering if anything was ever done with that. Somebody's going to get hurt or die there. It's
I
outta hand.
understand where you're coming from. I mean, the traffic issue, I mean, I don't think the telephone pole comes into play.
Well, it's one more thing to hit.
Right, to, you know, to issue that. But the best venue regarding the traffic issues on that road is, you know, to speak to the town board, or at least have a conversation with your councilman. I'm not sure what board that is over there, but you should reach out to your councilman. Definitely talk to them. Talk to the town board, you know, town supervisor. They have the ability to, you know, to hopefully get it addressed. I mean, it sounds like it's more, you know, the speeding issue is more of a police issue. We have
I understand.
We have no controls over that.
Right, but you're putting another, you know, potential accident.
I agree with you.
Thing right there on the road. I mean, I love that whole idea. Maybe it could go a little bit more into the woods. I get the logistics of it.
Yeah.
I'm a numbers person. She's got 26 trees in front of her property.
Yep.
More than half of them are saplings. If somebody hit them, they wouldn't, you know, get too hurt, maybe, depending on how fast they're going. But a pole is going to kill somebody. So it's sort of related, but
No,
I'll do
I
that.
understand the concern,
Okay.
but most of the concern sounds like it's more of an enforcement issue with speed and things like that.
Okay.
And again, my recommendation is reach out to to somebody at the town board level. They have a little more control over that. We really don't have much that we can do with it. But we did take, we do have the comments on record, so.
Good, okay.
All right, thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing none, I'm assuming we should probably adjourn this one as well to November 6th. Would probably be convenient for you, so you can be here for two at the same time. So with that, entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing to November the 6th.
So moved.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So, okay. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I guess other than that, I think that's all we have. Oh, no, we do have one more thing this evening. I forgot. Okay, sorry. So we move on to... So we move on to the next item, which is discussion regarding site plan and special use permit for Verizon Wireless, Kent Road Small Wireless Facility. So with that, we go to the draft resolution, which was provided by our planner this evening. And if there's, if anybody has any concerns with it, but I do know that during the pre-meeting, we had a little discussion. There's one item which needs to be amended in here, which is item 3B. The applicant shall obtain a license agreement and not a service agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe that's the only edit that needs to be addressed to amend this.
Unless you have any, Scott.
Unless you have anything that you want to
I
discuss.
thank you for sending it over, and I took a look at it, and I missed that, so.
Okay.
But I knew what the intent was, so thank you.
You understood what the intent was.
I know what we have to do.
Okay. All right, so with that, I guess really, if there's no discussion by the board, entertain a motion to accept the amended resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So I guess this one's all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
One down, two to go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you're welcome. Have a good evening. Okay. All right. Our next item on the agenda was a site plan and special use permit for Downey Energy Liquid Propane. At the request of the applicant's attorney, this project is removed from tonight's agenda and will be placed on the November 6th agenda. With that, we're down to the end of the agenda. I know the board wanted to have some discussion regarding a legal matter. I see our attorney has left. I do know that this is, do we still want to have an executive session to discuss some privileged communications?
I think so, yes.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. With that, do we want to have staff in here to discuss it? Or what staff do we need to maintain at this point?
You don't need me, do you?
Huh?
You don't need me, do you?
No.
We never need you.
I do need Malcolm. I do need Malcolm here. So if you want, we can, if you want to keep Malcolm and Barbara at this point. Okay, so with that said, motion to go, did you guys make a motion? I don't remember. All right, so with Barbara, you second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're now in executive session. Thank you.